Well, hello everybody again. I'm gonna prop my feet up here and I am going to do the most boring thing ever. I'm gonna sit in this chair and talk to you for about 20 minutes. It's 4 a.m. and we're opening for halfway to Halloween. And I am gonna tell you that I'm going to take my camera through the darkness and make a complete walkthrough video of the darkness. That's on my plan. That's what I plan to do. The one that I made for Transworld was absolutely terrible because the people just stood there and just stared at the scenes and the props, which I totally understand. In my last video, I was talking about rumors that I've been hearing about Transworld. And it's funny because every time I ask somebody like where you would want the show to move, they always have the same answer. It's like, essentially where they live. Or it's to go somewhere where they think there's a bunch of really cool haunts. And, or there's more things to do. I can tell you the vendors don't want the show to go to Orlando. Because they'd go to the show for one day and then they would spend the next 3 days at Universal's Epic going through the Frankenstein ride 15 to 20 times. That's what would happen, okay? That's what would happen. Because I can tell you that's what I would do. If the show moved out of St. Louis, the question is, would I go? Would I personally go? And the answer is no, I would not. And why wouldn't I? Well, because let's just say it moved to Philadelphia. Why would I? I don't need to go. Have you seen my haunted house? I don't need anything. And, we've already talked about it. The show really, I think the vendors need to get back to talking to the buyers to see what it is that you want. But I have a relationship with a lot of vendors where I could literally call them and ask them, could you make this for me? And usually they say yes, so this is a great thing. But I really only order from like the same handful of vendors anyway. And I really do find it great when people do walkthrough videos and I'm talking about walkthrough videos, and I just wanted to say this because I watched 2 videos of walkthroughs on the Eastern Haunt Convention that just happened, okay? And typically, these kind of videos are like 45 minutes long. And I watched them, but I was absolutely bored to death because they didn't narrate it. And so when you watch me do the exact same thing, I'm talking the whole time. So my suggestion is if somebody's going to just walk through and like a mime, okay, maybe you should consider walking and talking and, sharing your insight. But I watched 2 videos and, I could literally experience Transworld through the people who do that. Okay. And that's why, I can tell you, in my opinion, Transworld needs to do a heck of a better job with and put more emphasis not on like parties and makeup and costume balls. You can do that in MHC. They need to put more emphasis on education because a lot of haunts need to like learn how to do some things better that would help get them over the hump. And more emphasis got to be put on having the right speakers. Okay, and not the same speakers doing every other seminar. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to get in trouble when I say this. One particular haunt has like the entire family and every single person who works there is doing a seminar. Again, ridiculous. Okay, this industry needs speakers not that have no experience, and I'm not going to say his name, but there's one particular guy doing seminars. He doesn't own a haunt, never owned a haunt in his entire life. Okay, claims he's some sort of haunt expert. If you ask me, he's a clown and he doesn't know anything. And I actually read some stuff that he wrote and I'm like, oh my God, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. And if anybody took his advice, I can promise you, you will not stay in business long. But with that being said, you can't have these bozos that do seminars that really just want to promote themselves, or they're more home hauntery, or again, and no offense to another speaker, but he doesn't own a haunt, doesn't run a haunt, but yet he does a seminar called 60 Scares in 60 Minutes. It's ridiculous. Okay, what kind of seminars does there need to be? And the problem is the seminars that sell are the ones where they show you some sort of painting technique, or they talk about their top whatever scares or whatever. Those aren't the seminars you need to be going to. The seminars you need to be going to are, how do I do my own digital marketing? Okay. What are the keywords I should be using? What kind of, how should I make the ads? Okay. How do you grow your social media? Okay. Let's keep the ball rolling here. How do you get publicity? Okay. You know what another great seminar would be is how to find the right influencers, and how much should I pay them, or should I pay them at all? See, that's a whole topic. And I'm going to get into this 60 scares in 60 minutes. And I know that I keep beating on that. It is literally, and let me just say this, the dumbest seminar topic I have ever heard of, ever. Because it's not even possible to really do it, okay? I don't even think it would be possible to say, here's my top 10 scares in 60 minutes, much less 60 in 60 minutes. It's just absurd. But is that what people need to learn, 60 scares in 60 minutes? Or do they need to learn, hey, should I hire influencers? And if I did, how much would I charge? And by the way, and this is no shot at the Tampa Jays and the carpetbaggers and people like that, because that's not who you should hire, okay? The people you should hire are your local influencers, because they're dialed in to your market, okay? So if you get a national person to come, there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fantastic. You should wide open your door for a Tampa Jay. He loves it. He does a great job, but he won't have the same impact as somebody in your local market who's got 48,000 Instagram followers in St. Louis, as an example, okay? Local influencers is where it's at, but how do you find them? How much should you pay? Should you pay at all? Could you get them to come for free? How would you do that? That's a whole seminar. It'll take 60 minutes just to kind of sort of even touch on it. And who would give that seminar? Well, you could get another haunt who has a lot of experience of doing it, or I myself could find a local St. Louis influencer that literally charges people to do their attractions. Somebody that's just literally making a living doing it. And even though they're not in your town, it wouldn't matter, because they'll tell you the keys to working with a local influencer, and they have nothing to sell you because you're from another town. So yeah, that's the speaker I would get. I would love to see Google. Okay, because they have these things called accelerated growth teams. They'll even set up the ads for you. I would love to see Google come and do a seminar and literally do a Q&A with the industry, so that people could ask, and maybe Google could learn more about the haunted house industry and learn the small businesses and the kind of tools they would like, or to simplify. I would love to see Facebook, Facebook/Instagram. I would love to see a seminar on how to use Facebook to grow your business. I'd love to see a seminar on Instagram on how to grow your business. I'd love to see a seminar on TikTok on how to grow your business, how to use TikTok. Because you might think it's easy, but it's actually not. Okay? What kind of ads should you run? What kind of messaging should you run? What kind of keywords should you focus on? Why did all my ads on TikTok keep getting turned down? What should I change? There's so much to talk about. And by the way, I barely got going. But no, let's do 60 scares in 60 minutes. And I hate to say this, okay, and I'm not dogging, okay, but for example, you have people doing seminars that typically do how to do it yourself type of seminars. Okay, we don't need how to do it yourself seminars because you're at a trade show. Okay, you're there to buy stuff they make. Okay, and time is money. If you're actually going to sit there and watch videos all day long on how to make something, okay, why don't you just hire somebody to do it for you so that you can focus on what you do best and let somebody else make masks for you, as an example, okay? Do you really need to learn how to sculpt foam? And do you really think you could learn it in a 60-minute seminar? I don't think so. Hire somebody local that does a good job. That makes more sense, okay? We don't need seminars on how to. We just don't. And how many seminars can we have on actor training and this and that and the other? You've had 16 or 17 years of it. Do you really need more? Seriously? I don't think so. What I think you need, okay, is a seminar on ticketing. How to use a ticketing service and what kind of ticketing company should you be looking at for what features and price, and how should you sell tickets? Should you sell them like dynamic? Should you sell them time ticketing? Should you not sell time ticketing? Does it hurt? Like, you know, how should I set it up? Okay. Should I embed it on my website? Look, I could just keep going. Okay. Ticketing. And by the way, I do recommend fearticket.com. But ticketing is a huge thing because a ticketing company, if they have the right features, can literally, and if you set it up correctly, could raise your revenue by 10%, 15% by setting things up the correct way. So this would be a seminar that would be more valuable to you than listening to somebody who don't own a haunted house talk about 60 scares in 60 minutes. Like, how would he even know? How would he even know? He didn't run a haunted house last year. Things change every year. It's ridiculous. What's another seminar? I think there should be a real full-blown seminar on preventing fires. Okay, you don't have to say safety. You could say, should you do in your haunted house to prevent an accident? See, that would be a better title. How to prevent accidents. How to prevent lawsuits. Okay? This would be better. You know another class that I think would be really good? Like, what if a seminar was made on how to do text marketing, email marketing? See, instead of lumping all this crap in the same seminar where you don't get anything, there needs to be a seminar just focused on text. Just focused on mass email. Because let's take mass email for a second. What should I write? What should I say? Should I embed a video? Should I get better graphics for the header? Should I put in photos? How long? How many words? Should I send it to a lot of people? Less people? What time of the day should I send it? What should be the header, the title? Listen, there's so much involved to do it the correct way. You can't do a seminar where you're talking about text marketing, email marketing. Listen, I've already outlined like 15 seminars already. What would be better? And I hate to say this because it's true. And I'm just going to say it. Transworld has relied on one individual who I think is completely out of touch with what haunters really need to know and understand. And maybe one of the reasons why they don't know is because they don't know it themselves. They don't know how to do it themselves. They think the whole industry needs to learn about monsters and scares. No, they don't. They need to learn how to sell more tickets, how to keep their haunt safe. And I could do a whole seminar on what time you should open, what time you should close, how many people can you put through per minute, per hour, how to do it, and it's not even just that. It's like when you're putting through more people, how do you manage the people from backing up? How do you manage the actors, and how do they get the proper entertainment? Should you offset that with animatronics or effects that go off? How does Universal, for example, run 10,000 people through a maze, in a matter of hours? Okay? I've literally talked to haunts that think they should put 4-minute gaps. 4-minute gap, 3-minute gap, 4-minute gap, your actors are literally dozing off. They're falling asleep. To them, it's like, you might as well just say it's an hour apart. Plus, when you run your haunt really slow, you get people waiting for a long time. They're not happy. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because if you run them too fast, they complain. If you run them too slow, they complain. They don't come back. Oh my God, it was so terrible. I waited that long for this. I mean, literally, there's a happy place when it comes to this kind of topic. And this is something that has to be discussed over 60 minutes, and it can't be lumped in with 30 other things. Am I making sense here? Does this make sense? These are the kind of seminars we need, okay? I also could see seminars just about special effect lighting, how you can take your Fright Ideas controllers and you could do animated lighting, okay? Yeah, I can see some of those seminars, but let's do some of those seminars in a way that we haven't done them before. 60 scares in 60 minutes every single year, or round tables and all this kind of stuff. No, get the right speakers, get a speaker from Google, from Instagram, from Facebook, okay? Get a real influencer who has nothing to sell you, okay? These should be your speakers. These should be your speakers. Now, I'm not saying you're not gonna have some of the other ones, okay? Because you are, especially on the topics that they're really expert at. But if the seminars took this track, I can tell all the vendors out there, all of the haunt owners have a disease. They can't stop. They can't help themselves from buying stuff. And if they make more money, they're going to buy more stuff. They're going to keep growing their business because it's an obsession. And if the haunts can make more money, if we can get the majority, over 80%, are doing less than 10,000. And if we can get that 80% down to 50%, the sales at the haunted house show are going to go up by 15 or 20%. This should be the focus. This should be the focus of when you come to Transworld. You should expect seminars like this. How to do sponsorship. Is it worth your time? I could just go on and on and on. And these are the kind of seminars that we need at Transworld, because we got to take and seize the opportunity to walk away from the show, not just with new props, but with a new mindset on how I could change and tweak and alter what I'm doing to maybe save a lot of money, maybe even make a lot of money. I'll give you another example. A whole seminar just on concessions. A whole another seminar just on retail. I could go on and on and on. These are the seminars. These are the only ones that matter. 60 scares in 60 minutes. Woo! Are you kidding me? I just think certain people are completely out of touch with what the haunted house industry really needs, what it really wants, but maybe it just doesn't know it. And how do you sell? This is the key. How do you sell these seminars? So because Transworld's got to make money, they're renting the rooms, they're paying the speakers. How does Transworld make money if no one wants to buy these types of seminars? It's called FOMO. FOMO. Fear of missing out. It's how they promote those seminars. Do you really want your competitor going to these seminars because we got the right speakers and not a bunch of clowns? We got the right speakers to do these seminars. And if they go, your competitor goes, and you don't, it's not going to be good. That's how you get people into these kinds of seminars. Now, I will only say one more thing, and so this is a shorter video. I did a video on the new wing of the St. Louis Convention Center. And they've got a new wing where they have stands to set it up on the show floor. I'm going to demand and insist that Transworld move the haunted house section into there, and that the stands get brought out and a whole section is dedicated to demos. Because the people should be doing the demos, the makeup demos, or maybe a costume runway like they used to do in Rosemont. All the costume companies do a runway, and the stands are filled, and you could watch that. Or a mask demo where everybody walks out with their masks, okay? Or a demo where they're carving foam or painting something or teaching you some scenic stuff. That needs to happen at the trade show. That must happen. Now that we know that St. Louis Convention Center has those stands, just like I saw in Las Vegas at the Pizza Expo, we must demand those things are done. But those things can be on the show floor. They don't need to be seminars, okay? The seminars need to be dedicated to helping you grow your business. And do the demos on the trade show floor. That'll make the trade show floor super exciting. Super exciting. So exciting. But now that we know that that the St. Louis Convention Center has those stands that'll pull out, and they can set them up, and literally 1,000 or 2,000 people can sit in them and watch a demo, we must demand that the entire haunted part move over into the new section. And a part of it be set up with those stands for live demos. Now, the demos could be part of, you don't pay $99, you pay $200, and you get access to the live demos. I don't know. It could all be worked out. But this is gnawing on me. And I don't want to see any more seminars, 60 minutes and 60 scares, and how to take a plastic tube and make your own chainsaw. I don't want to see those seminars anymore. I really don't. I want haunted house owners to be safe. One fire in one haunted house could kill the entire industry. We have to take the bull by the horns and make sure that everyone understands the proper way to make your haunted house safe. We need to make sure that we do that. We need to make sure that you have the ability to do your own digital marketing, that you know how to create content and how to grow your social media and how to put your ads in correctly, how to handle crisis, how to keep your haunted house safe from injuries, okay? These are the things, okay? I can even tell you like another thing. Like what if you had a whole class on how to use QuickBooks? Would that be valuable? I think it would. I think it would. There's so many seminars that could be done that are not being done, and you don't have the right people doing them. That's the sad part. So, with that being said, thanks for watching this video. I think I'm gonna head home. I hope that I've pushed people. And by the way, I don't want anybody to think I'm like attacking anybody in particular, or I'm saying that the speakers aren't any good, because I know a lot of them are great. But we don't need any more seminars on how to scare people or how to carve a foam brick, okay? We need people learning how to grow their business. And we need the demos on the trade show floor. And you know what else we need? We need the show for the first time to be divided by section. Costumes, masks, animations, props, business to business, food, amusement, Christmas, escape, and it has to be defined on the trade show map. And we can see, if we go over here, we can find retail for our retail stores. If we go over here, we can find food vendors. If we go over here, we can find all the masks and the costumes. I think that would serve the vendors better. And I think the seminars could be served better if they focused on growing your business. And I think if we had live demos on the trade show floor, that would make the show more fun. It would make the show more entertaining. And as far as moving the show to somewhere where it's more fun, who needs fun when you have all the things that I'm saying right now? Education, demos, great products to see, networking to experience, and maybe, Darkness Hauntworld. Maybe not. That's up to you. Is it worth it to you? I think that I do a great job. I really do. And I don't really have any complaints when people come here. They don't complain about how much we charge. We don't make money doing haunt tours. And if Transworld was to adopt what I'm saying, they would need to know that people are going to buy these seminars. Again, I think it's how you market it. You got the right speakers. And if you don't go, you might miss out. Tell me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Am I off base? Am I wrong? Did I say something that was insulting to somebody? I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about making sure that when we all get together, we're not wasting our time. Let me know. Until then, happy hauntings from the darkness. And you see all them boxes up there? That's all retail. All retail. Stay tuned.